You're on. Yeah?
Yep.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice day today by the look of it. Fresh and new. Hope everybody's well.
Yes.
And well, hope you all got some good input and good questions today, which you usually do of a Sunday morning, which is very good. It's the same old we talk about. As somebody said, I don't know, it might have been Ramdas or somebody said, getting rid of what you haven't got. And that's about the gist of it. Because there is nothing we can get, and there is nothing that you are not already. But we've taken on the belief we are this separate entity, this person, this individual, and that is the cause of all our problems relating to that believed in entity. And relationship is duality, relative to. And there is absolutely no duality whatsoever in non-duality. Yet look around you. And all that is happening in the seeing is seemingly dual. Seemingly me and other than me. But it's all the one essence that vibrates patterns, shapes and forms into everything. And that's a key word, that all pattern, shapes and forms are things. Appearing on or in that no thing. The silence, the stillness, the space-like awareness or emptiness, which they label as a cognizing emptiness. Emptiness with the capacity of cognizing or knowing. And emptiness is form, is what they tell us. All these forms, pattern, shapes and forms, which is the manifestation, are nothing but the emptiness. So the form is emptiness and the emptiness is the form. Now see, you must realise or recognise how we've got lost along the way somewhere in believing we are this separate entity, this individual, this person, me or I. And we're seeing all these other things as not me or not I. And that's true. But the ones we think are I, the pattern, shape, form we think is I or me, that's not I either. The pattern, shape and form. It has the capacity of reasoning or thinking, which I call, for want of a better term, intelligence, energy. Not your intellects, but the same intelligence that's rolling the earth around the sun, that's forming the planets and the stars and the oceans and the continents and everything again, which appears as this manifestation It's all things appearing on that basic screen, the no thing. Well, just reasoning it out, looking, can something come from no thing? Well, even the so-called I here can recognise that. How can anything come from no thing? It can't. But it appears to be so. And they tell us that the manifestation is a phenomenal manifestation. Definition of phenomenal is that which appears to be. It all appears out there, and the thoughts that are seemingly going on in the body, in the head, it all appears to be so, seemingly so. A little bit of investigation, you'll see it's not how it appears. It's not how it is. What it is that already. Just pure isness. Isness is right here-ness, right now-ness. Not past or future, high or low, pleasant or painful. Just as it is right here in this moment. Absolute, total, complete. And that's what we're searching for. The belief is we've got to become one with it. But what's non-duality? It's one without a second. That is it. Who needs to become it? But we've lost sight of the fact through the thinking process and the belief in the words and the belief in the pattern, shapes and forms as having some substance. But look at the ocean. When the ocean's calm and still, no movement in it, it's just pure, peaceful, still ocean. A ripple comes on it, or a wave, or a billow, or a tsunami, or something. Stirs it up. All patterns, shapes and forms. Now these patterns, are they anything apart or separate from the ocean? Now all these so-called patterns, we say I've got this pattern and that pattern that's going on in the mind, seemingly real, but if you're not concerned when I'm not thinking about them, let it rest. What happens to the patterns? What happens to the patterns on the ocean when it becomes still? They disappear. Yeah. What happens to the patterns in your mind when you're not focusing on them, giving them some reality? They'll disappear. They'll dissolve. And won't dissolve for very long, fresh and new thoughts, just the same as the ocean is never still for very long either. It'll change, it's constantly transient, it's constantly changing. But realise all the changes in the pattern, shapes and forms are the no thing appearing as something. And to appear as something, there needs to be something separate from them. And isn't that this persona, this body-mind we've got, which we call my body? This person, I am this person. I am separate. I am apart. I'm not the reality, I'm not the total. But I see where the peace is, where the joy is, or the so-called enlightenment is. And I need to become enlightened. And becoming, when you recognise it's already being so, why do you need to become something that you already are? And the belief that we need to become is because we've separated it. We've simply divided ourselves. What with? What's divided us? Isn't it the word, the concept, the image? And isn't that how it appears when you look at this thing you call mind or thinking? When Shakespeare tells you there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And when you realise that, without a thought, what can you say about it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it pleasant? Is it painful? Without the thought, it's not. And all these thoughts, good, bad, pleasant, painful, they are all words. How many words were you born with? You weren't born with any words. What did you know when you were born, as in words? The pure intelligence was there, the knowing was there, but it didn't have any words to discriminate itself with. It wasn't knowing this or knowing that. Just the same as nature hasn't got any words. It's not saying this is good or this is bad or this is the blue sea that's still or silent. It didn't. But it's all happening. But it's not discriminated because there's no separate thing apart from it to discriminate it. That's what they call it, one without a second, non-duality. Not two, only the one. And it's always and ever that. And we've learnt these words and believed in the words. We went to school, our parents told us the words, and we learnt them at school. And we picked up words along the way and learnt more words. And the energy of belief has gone into the word and made it seemingly real. And that sense of separation that's come about has caused all our problems. Because it's only me that believed in separate entity can be fearful, can be anxious, can be unhappy, be guilty, be depressed. Why? Because it's the very belief in separation. You've isolated yourself and separate yourself from the totality. As the totality, the absolute, what can you add to it? What can you take away from it? If you know you're not separate from it and you are that, what problem is there? It's the sense of separation and the belief in separation. It creates all our problems. It is the cause. Any causes that are real must have an effect. And isn't that what they call so-called karma? Is cause and effect? But if you ask yourself the simple question, can there be an effect if I'm not relating to a cause? If I'm seeing everything as it is, whole, complete, total, what effects can there be? What effects does nature, the earth, know rolling around the sun? It appears to be, when it faces away from the sun, it's darkness, and when it faces towards the sun, it's light. But is the earth saying it's darkness or light? It's got no self-nature, so it can't relate to a cause. And there can't be an effect. It's just as it is. But we're locked into it. We learnt words, believed in the words, never investigated and see the words, not the real. Formulate more or learn and acquire more words, forget a lot of other words, but never realise that the word is not the thing. It's just labels or names we put on things. The name or the label. And you know the label's not the word, not the thing. Go into Myers or David Jones, come out with a dress or a coat or a shirt, or come out with the label, not the thing itself. You're not too happy about that, you know. You want the thing. Now this body-mind, I am this person, I am this body. But investigate that and see whether you are the body. Innately, without anything else, you know innately, immediately, that you're not the body. Because you're saying my body. Who is it that's claiming the body? You say my house, my car, my coat, my body. You know, that's seemingly me or my that claims the house, the car and the coat. But is there anything there to claim the body? It's the very me you're thinking is doing the claiming. And what is this me or I? Is it anything other than a label, a word, a conceptual image? It is an image. It appears to be sitting in the space, appearing in a pattern, focusing in space, and it's seemingly moving, it's breathing, its heart's beating, fingernails growing. The activities are taking place in it. The intelligence is patterning, shaping and forming, causing a pattern to it. But we label it as separate. Now, is that body separate? Can it live outside of space? Can it live outside of the elements? When you investigate it, it's made up of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, space. All those elements. But we believe it's real. It seems solid and round, substantial. You can grab it, you can hold it, put it under a microscope. You'll see a big difference there. You'll see it quite differently. And it appears to be aging, and you know it's changing, it's transient, because a few years back you had the body of a youth, a young boy or a young girl or a child before that. It's grown up into an adult now, possibly. And like this pattern, it's an old age, starting to fall apart, old age. But what's the same about it? Go back to those childhood memories and you'll say, this happened to me. And I'll say, how do you know? You'll say, I was there. What was there? If it's not the same body that it is now, what was it that was there? What was the image you had about yourself then? The same thoughts and ideas. Where are they now? They're not there, they've changed. Well, what was it there? It must have been that innate intelligence, the pure knowing, the pure livingness that hasn't changed. It's seen these and known, recognised or cognised all these things that are coming and going and changing. But it's still the same basic essence, the same pure intelligence energy. And the pattern, the body mind that is expressing through, as I say, is aged, or is aging and is aged, and will disappear. It will disappear. Where does it go to? Now, all this manifestation takes place in space, in the emptiness. Can you postulate or think of anything outside of this emptiness? So what formed out of this emptiness and seemed real, where it breaks down, where must it go? Back into the emptiness. What's lost? Nothing whatsoever. The pattern, shape and form has disappeared, but the emptiness has no centre, no circumference, no beginning, no end. It's just purely what is. It's always is that. And you know that in your language, because you say that's the tree, that's the flower, that's the chair. You put the labels on the thatness. I am that is the great mantra. I am thatness, not the body, not the mind. But you don't, you mouth the words, but you don't realise that it's true. Instead of saying, I am that absolute, I am this person. I am this body, this mind that's suffering, that's unhappy, that's depressed, all conceptual image we built upon those. So the belief is what you've heard and going to think you've got to become realised, liberated. What's the other word for it? Liberated. Realised. Awake, aware. But you're already that. Already. Seemingly obscured by the concepts of thoughts. So recognise. So I've burbled on long enough, I think.
No.
There must be some people there where you usually got the input and the comments, or the questions. So away you go.
Yes, I have. Hello, everyone. I have. Cat took my chair again.
You take the chit out of the show that beautiful dress off.
Oh. So we got a beautiful feedback from
Good.
Arthur. Dear Bob, after last week's satsang, when I went to bed that night, I had a dream about you. You were looking intently and deeply into my eyes. You were pure love. This was Shaktipat. Since then, I find myself dealing with life situations with greater skill and clarity. We really aren't the doer.
That's right.
How magnificent.
It is, yeah. And Shaktipat is energy. It's not some mystical thing. It's just energy that enlivens or merges with the energy that you already are and moves through the body, energizing it, rising up through the so-called chakras and all the rest of it, and energizing it, enlivens it. You are that. Nobody gives it to you. You just recognise it was there all the time.
And then we have from Rox, freedom from becoming,
Yes,
freedom from trying,
yes.
freedom from working it out. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, sister, yeah.
And the question, is the thought talking about past and future in the past and future?
No, thought is always immediate. It's always immediate. And there is no past or future, it's spontaneous. But there again, the thought that in the vibration, seeming vibration, which is only a spontaneous throb or pulsation, which has no full ending or full beginning, in that pulsation, it seems to be time.
Then Matt is answering, past and future as well as every other thought, idea and concept. So whether the thought of past is in the past is a thought.
Yeah.
So whether the thought is happening immediately about the past, the thought may be immediate, but the thought and the past, they both thoughts. They all thought.
Good.
And Tanya, without the word, there is no separate self. Even with the words, there is no separate self. It seems more like I am that which is aware. I am aware of the body, so it can't be what I am. That is not super clear though. There is a doubt that I am not the body, which is just a thought and sensation. Hoping some clarity on this will appear. It doesn't matter that thoughts about improving the body appearance appear, right? Right. Improving the appearance will not add anything to one's essence. Not sure why there is still interest in this. How do I come to be clear like you and Kat are?
Well, as I say, if you realise it's all appearance, does it need to be improved? What's the essence of it? What's it without the patterns, without the movement on it? What is it? Pure being, knowing, and loving to be.
And
But it needs something to express through. If it didn't have this particular pattern, that particular pattern, or any pattern to express through, what could be said? What could be done about it? And how real's the pattern? As I say, if you put it under a microscope, it's seemingly solid, but you see it's made up of elements. Air, earth, fire, water, space, which can be broken down into subatomic particles, into pure energy. Just energy, a vibration, a throb, a pulsation. What they call it, spander, I think, in one of the traditions, or drill in some other traditions. Different words for down through the ages have been different words. Throb, pulsation, breath.
And also you say that it is kind of clear, but there are doubts about being the body, association with the body. Yes, as Bob says, without the body there is no experiencing. So you do need the car if you want to drive to another city. It's not that you're going to be or maybe another country. So the body is part of the appearance that you really need. It's not that, you're not the body, you stop looking after the body or anything like that. But the association that I am my body is almost as if I am my dress, I am my costume, I am my mask. I have the body, I have the costume, I need I need the eyes to see, or I need the cameras to record, I need the brain. This is the things that we do have, not that we are. Ultimately, being a totality, you are everything.
Yeah.
But see, what actually throws you out of the clarity is the thought.
Yeah.
It is always how much importance you give to thought. If the thought comes about some absolute nonsense in foreign language, let's say the thought comes about, whatever, God being a dog and in Mandarin. So how much importance will you give it to the thought? But when the thought comes and says about me, this is my body, this is me, this is when it is automatically assigned a lot of importance. And when you recognize that this is just a noise, it's just a vibration, and you stop believing thoughts, any thoughts, the big thoughts, good, positive, negative, any thought is just a cloud.
And a doubt is a thought. Don't forget that. A doubt's a thought.
So when the doubt comes up, whatever the doubt is saying, you can just ask yourself, what's wrong with right now if I don't think about it? Or who am I without the thought? Like suddenly the attention switches back to being through sensory experiences, hearing, seeing, feeling the body, breathing. All that is happening immediately, rather than what is happening in the story. And then clarity is there. And then the thought comes up again. If you ignore the thought, let it fall, the clarity is not obscured. But when the attention goes and abandon that immediacy and follow the thinking and believes the thinking, energize the thinking, says, oh, maybe that's true, then you are in a fantasy land. You are again in the imaginary, fictitious, believed in reality, in the dream, in a daydream. You're daydreaming that, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm ugly, or maybe I'm, and maybe I'm the body. That's a dream. Doubt is a thought.
Yes. And the thoughts are stories. Thoughts are time, stories. What story is there without a thought?
Yeah.
And who can have it?
Tanya also says,
when you look at the story, it has a beginning and an end. And we pointed out it's all spontaneous, just a throb, a pulsation, without beginning. When does now begin? So right now. But as you said, that it's finished already. And it's beginning again. And it's finished again. So it's got no duration to it. Yes. And all the stories, they tell you to try to describe it in, when we were kids, they called them fairy stories. Had a good moral to them. Every fairy story starts with once upon a time. So you see, all stories take place in time. And the story about yourself now, I was born, I'm so-and-so, hasn't that taken place in time? What is wrong with right now if I'm not thinking about it? What story is there if I'm haven't got any concepts or ideas or images about it? If it's just pure, ever-fresh, spontaneous awareness, knowingness, beingness, loving to beingness.
So Tanya says here, so being clear about this is just abiding as awareness and knowing you are that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not even the, like the conceptualizing that I am abiding as that. If mind takes over, it will start asking, what does it mean to abide? How do I do that? And that's not, I bet but just to clarify for others, abiding is non-doing. You don't do anything to
just relax.
It's just relaxing. So yes, abiding as that, it means you already that. And can you actually do anything to stop being that? No, but you could just cloud that awareness or lose sight of it. That, yeah, like when you say lose sight of it, basically just turn into a dreaming.
Let it rest in its uncontrived singularity. Resting is abiding.
Yeah.
Uncontrived singularity, a singularity without any divisions or any concepts of it.
And Heyman says, you are that, dear, dear Tanya. You are. Rohan, who is hoping for clarity to appear? It is a subtle way that the identity keeps going. There is also a concept about clarity that Bob and Kat have that you don't. You will never be clear about anything. You will never be clear about anything. All that happens is that attention will shift from the you to the screen on which it appears.
Exactly.
Beautifully said.
Thank you, Rowan.
Beautifully, beautifully said. And Rox, we are awareness. In my experience, I found trying to abide in awareness was a mind trap. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, any trying. Yeah, Rox said before, the freedom or liberation from trying.
Let it rest.
Becoming.
Let it rest. Don't try to relax.
Yeah.
No, you can't relax, but relaxation will happen if you're not concerned or focusing or attaching to anything.
Yes.
When you go to sleep, do you think about it? You don't. Just give it up every night when you go to sleep, and what do you do? Where does the mind go when you're asleep?
And Tanya says, yes, Heyman, I am starting to see this. Yeah, just notice every moment when this is clear and acknowledge those moments of clarity when there's no thinking. It's just plain being and it's, you know, just relaxing, plain relaxation in being, because the more you notice that natural state, the more you will notice that natural state. The more you look for when it is obscured, the more obscuration you'll notice. That's how the attention is trained. Sally, I have been struck by the isness this week.
Good.
I have been struck by the isness
Beautiful.
this week. It seems so obvious on one level, the hum of now and isness. That's, yes.
Good, Sally, that's great.
It is. And it can't be grasped by the mind, for the mind is nothing. But when the mind relaxes a little bit, it's like just too obvious. It's shocking. It's an insult for the intelligence, how close and obvious and plain it is.
And every taste you have of it or recognition of it, the easier it becomes to see again.
Yes. And it is being struck by it, by the obviousness of it. Beautiful. Alvaro, who's believed in thoughts? Yeah. I'm not laughing at you or with you, I am you, Heyman says. And goes, an event has no cause, just as an answer has no question. The answer always precedes the question. Questions are just mind.
The questioner is the question.
I gotta kick that cat because it's so uncomfortable on my knees.
Can't you? Yeah.
Come, baby. Would you?
Oh, no.
Darling, come sit with me. Just sit with me. Sit with me, baby. Okay, and there we are. Tanya, that is a great question, Rohan. Thank you. It seems the who is hoping for clarity is just a thought seemingly believed in. But believed in by who? This who is just a thought, not real. Yes, Bob and Kat, see, have something I don't is just a thought story.
It's like the sun and the cloud. You know, the sun doesn't have to try and force the cloud away. Just that, is just being, and it'll cool it down and blow it away, cause the wind away. And when the heat evaporates the water, it's not doing it on purpose or doing anything. It's just happening.
Yeah. Bob and Kat have something I don't, is just a thought, a story. That is so profound, yes. Because that aliveness is obviously is as much here as it is in you, is as much in the cat that is now playing with
Does that have a story?
Yeah.
Doesn't, and you are that?
Mm.
Who was that said that?
Tanya.
Tanya is that.
Mm-hmm. And now, Aldo. Hi, Bob and Kat. So what use do thoughts have? What is a use for thoughts?
They can be very useful.
Oh, yeah.
But they can be very self-destructive.
Mm.
Thoughts, Aldo, I haven't seen you for ages. How you doing? Yeah, thoughts can be very useful, and they can be very self-destructive, because the thought tells you I'm not good enough, I'm fearful. After all, I'm only human. I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. But the other thought that tells you don't go there, or full stop, or that's just a concept, or 2 and 2 make 5, or something like that. They're useful thoughts.
And what a wonderful source of entertainment thoughts are. If you think of the lyrics of a beautiful songs or poetry or films, or the way people communicate, exchange ideas, how entertaining it is to even create the models of reality in thoughts. Thoughts are quite incredible. It's just when we blindly believe them to be reality, that's when the side effect of it is suffering.
Being energy, they vibrate into the opposites also. Discriminate, they vibrate.
Now Tanya says, a shift of attention that will happen by itself. Thanks for the heads up about the trap rocks. And beautiful, Sally. No one believing in thoughts, just thoughts appearing. Tanya, maybe you could actually see that shift of attention that is happening right now, rather than will happen. Because the moment I see in your writing, the moment you point it, you actually land in it straight away. So, shift of attention, acknowledging the aliveness, acknowledging the existence, the being. Even if that is only part of the attention, that acknowledge that presence that is already there, that silence or that scream. And then the content is also acknowledged, that's okay. But then that acknowledgement for the content is not unconditional belief in the content anymore, because you know the content is fleeting, it comes and goes, it's changing. But what's unchanging, it can be acknowledged now. It's not that it will happen, it's happening. It's happening. And no one believing in thoughts, just thoughts appearing, Tanya says. Yep. And Matthew, got total rapture today. Felt like I was floating. And Donna, love you and miss you both. Enjoying life and not missing a thing. Oh, you're so gorgeous. Yeah, that's the paradox. We miss you too, even though we don't miss a thing. That's so true. That's so true. Such a blessing to have you both, Alvaro says. Thank you. And Tanya, thank you, Bob and Kat, and all that replied to the question. It's definitely only thought, words that seem to veil the beingness that is never actually veiled.
That's right.
Thought seems much less interesting now. That's it. Yeah, they can be totally loved and acknowledged and appreciated and taken advantage of, used for expression. It's just so many uses, fantastic uses. Only when you take them up to be a territory, that's when that's when it hurts. And that's it. We caught up with the insights and sharings.
Yeah, you'll have to give a bit of a spiel.
No, you're the best.
No best. Don't sit the donor. Go on, good practice.
Oh, we have a question. I'm off the hook. I have something that Bob and Kat does not have. I have feelings of separation. Oh, I have thoughts that I believe in. I'm capable of resentment and anger towards people. I actually experienced mixture of anger and sadness for half a day yesterday, and Bob and Kat doesn't have what I have. This is gorgeous. I love that.
It all appears.
Yes, and
Everybody has it. It still appears, but it's in recognising that the appearance is not the actual thing.
that's yeah. Bad news, Hyman. If you feel superior because you have something special that we don't, and I know it's a good joke, I like it, then we do occasionally growl also, and it is quite sweet and funny. We even couple of times a year, or maybe less than that, growl at each other. It doesn't last more than a few seconds, but it is kind of a nice outburst of energy. It's not that those yummy vibrations suddenly became unavailable. All of it is available. The sadness, the desperation, the disappointment, the joy, the pleasure, the pain, all of it is available. It's just not believed.
What's he say there?
I have something that you don't have. The anger. Yeah, he can be quite fiery. Yeah, there's quite a few people who could assert to it. He can, yes, I can be quite fiery too. It's just the pattern. It's like if you look out in nature and you see the animals interacting with each other, you can see, like, you know, this, gosh, what do you call this big male deer? How you call that one?
Stag.
Yeah, they fight almost till they break each other's necks. They fight for female. Or the animals that competing for position. They feel furious. The energy, of course, we anthropomorphize it, that this is anger, because we don't really know how internally they experience the energy. But it looks like fury, it looks like anger. So that's the natural, that's part of nature, to experience all sorts of vibrations, sensations. But yes, the separation is a story. So even if the story would come up, it's not being believed.
And that's a concept also, that you have something that somebody else hasn't got.
It was a joke, yeah, and it's a good one. It is a good one. Yeah, nothing is lost. Nothing is. Once you realize who you are not, and once you realize that there is no you to even want to know who you really are, nothing is lost. Although certain things are unbelievable. Yeah, you can't believe, Bob, you are not good enough, poor me, like you said, this stuff, I'm good bloke having a bad throat or stuff. Yeah, can't believe it, because there's no one there who would want to believe that I'm good or not good. Yeah, you can say the body is old or young or pretty or ugly, but that's just the body, and the essence that you are, can't say anything about it. It's expression, which is behavior or reaction.
I can say all these things that I know they're not the truth, so it doesn't hurt.
Yes.
They're not binding.
Yes. And now, Tanya, nothing wrong with those things appearing, Heyman. I take that awareness includes all. That's right. And Aldo, yes, he's had a go at me. You had a go at Aldo. And hi, Bobcat, Rachel says.
When did
Yeah.
When did I have a go at Aldo?
I don't know, maybe a long time ago. Well, the truth is also that, and I heard it. I heard people accusing Bob of having a go with them, even your step granddaughter. When he says he's too tired to go into head games like this, she started lecturing him how he should. I don't know. It's just people have concepts. Sometimes he responds to something clearly, and it feels like he's having a go. Maybe he did, or maybe he didn't. So yeah, sometimes that things appear. And Heyman says, "Thank you for exposing what you and Bob have." We have the whole universe. It is appearing in what I am, the whole world, including you. So that's it's not really even having. It's just being in a different forms. But yeah, you could call it this way. And Rohan, I remember one point that Terry's son Max made in satsang. Anger still arises, but it happens to no one. So there is no resistors to hold on to it. As anger appears, it will subside with nothing to stick to. Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah. Anything that arises, if there is no story to sustain it and keep it going, it disappears. Shaleen, more often I'm turning my attention from the fleeting to the constant. Beautifully said. And Jim is also saying hi. Rachel and Jim, they're there.
Oh,
Hey.
hi Rachel and Jim, good to hear from you.
Yes. And Heyman says, indeed, Tanya. Aldo says, many times I was his punching bag. Ouch, what a painful story. But you didn't hold the resentment because you're here now. Tanya, it suddenly struck me as you were talking, Bob, that the words can't bound you. That's right. Yes, and Aldo says, I still love him though. Beautiful. Oops, not a keyboard savvy this morning, Rachel says. And Barbara, hello Bob, I think I'm behind the times. When you came to Perth in the late 90s, your wife was Barbara, and I remember driving you and Barbara around Fremantle. My question is, what happened to her? Are you in a new marriage?
Yeah, Barbara, my wife, died first.
She's here.
In
Picture is here.
2011.
10 years ago she died. And yes, Bob was single for 5 years, and then life placed me here to get him healthy and happy. Rachel, Jim here. Oh, that's from Jim. What you experience, Heyman, is quite usual. It's oneness playing the game of two-ness, looking for oneness. Nicely said. Yeah, the cat is distracting Bob.
He knocked the whole ball out, yeah.
I'll fix it for him. That's it?
Oh, good catch. Good reflexes.
I think we have... Barbara says, thank you. I wish you both all the best. By the sound of it, you are Polish like myself. Yes, I am.
Sure.
Yeah, Barbara is... I see the Polish last name. Yes, witaj Barbara, Basia.
Yeah. Glad to hear from you.
You remember driving around in Fremantle in Paris?
Vaguely now, vaguely. Yeah. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I used to work there. I used to fly to Paris and work from. I take a helicopter to the ships there around. It was a nice town. And God damn, both of them, says Heyman and laughing. God damn, both of them. Yeah, he's in a champagne type of a mood today. Very happy.
Good day.
Yes, so we still have.
Go on.
Go on. Yes, so the basic reminder of the natural state. It is as in nature. It is always present. It's always there. If it's not right here, right now, it's not worthy of pursuing. Which means if you are believing or hoping that there is something in future that will bring the realization or liberation of awakening, no, it's not going to happen because there is no future. The future is a concept, it's a story in the head. And also the belief with for some future event is always in relation to who, the me. There is a me that wants to get something or add something. And what Bob keeps saying is that not only there is no me, but you are already the totality, the essence, the life essence, the awareness, the consciousness. You are already that which experiencing, knowing of being. So there is nothing to be added. There is everything, the whole universe is already yours. You don't need to add anything to it. And also, who has ever experienced a future? Only in the story. When you were a child, you thought you will grow up, and then you grew up. Oh yeah, it happened. No, only in the story it happened. Because in the immediacy, all that you can experience is seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. That's the experiencing. Now we put the context into it and create a story. And for the sake of convenience and communication, of course there is a story of this unit, a body that is called me or I. I could walk around and say, oh, this is Katarina going there or doing that, but that's inconvenient. So because of the language and because of the story that we put on that unit, communicational unit, body, mind, the assumption was made that the identity of that life essence is limited by that unit. So now I am the body or the mind, instead of being a totality expressing as the body mind or using the body mind for the experiencing and expressing. So this is a misconception, and that misconception can be investigated, seen through, and discarded. It's just one thought, it's just one wrong idea. That once that one wrong idea of me being limited in the body, by the body, if that one is seen through, life happens as it always does, but it doesn't happen to me. It just dances, it just does what it does, and I'm the consciousness in which it happens, and I'm free. And even if unpleasant situations happen, they don't happen to me, they just live dancing. And life has to dance and appear in pairs of opposites, because if I never experience pain, how would I know pleasure? If I never experience the darkness, how would I know the light? All that can be experienced is dualistic. All that can be experienced has the opposite, and both of the opposites are inevitable. If there is white board and white pen, you can't really bring out anything. There has to be the duality. So there has to be anger, and what's the opposite of anger? Peace, or love, hatred, fear, courage, or whatever the whatever you define. Like Bob is saying, the mind is always moving between the pairs of opposites, vibrating between good, a little bit less good, neutral, bad, very bad, always between the two ends of the stick. Boundaries, yes. And those boundaries are language, words. If I didn't have the word good and bad, I would experience a vibration without the label or definition of that vibration. It would be just plain experience. And this is what we see when we look at our cats. I'll just show you our cats meditating together right now. So they experience all the energy without having a story about what they experience, without the pleasure, pain, good and bad. So everything is just as it is, and it moves on as it is. But because I have the story, when I experience some energy, I label the energy, and I bring all the past memories. I said, oh, I heard it before, or I had it before in the past. Let's say I experienced rejection, and then suddenly all the rejections from the past lined up and say, yes, that's the same, that's what it is. And the sustaining story keeps the rejection, and the pain it gets unbearable. And then you need to sedate. You need to find something to distract yourself from pain, be it sex or drugs or whatever, money, fame, name, whatever. Distracting from that present experiences because it has been labeled, because it has been defined as something undesirable. While there has been a lot of research made showing that the energy of bubbling through the body, the same energy, the same chemicals in particular contexts can be interpreted by the body as excitement. So now I'm excited, I'm going for the whatever, skydiving. And in another setting, the same energy would be interpreted as fear because I'm going to go and meet my boss who's going to fire me. So the same sort of a bubbly energy, because we label it, interpret it, is and it is always in the relation to me. To me, my story, my preferences, my desires, suddenly I'm limited also. And I have all the conceptual definition of what I should be, how I should be. So of course that causes a lot of suffering. But when I see through the whole game, the whole idea of the fictitious entity here, and then the world in the relation of the entity, if I see that there is no one there, it's just life. It's just life moving like a river. It's just life blowing like a wind. It doesn't do it to break that tree. It doesn't do it to anyone. It doesn't have any agenda. It just is. And the whole life always creates every event and every circumstance. If I'm still self-obsessed and something happened to me, I will straight away say, oh, I have deserved that. Oh, I have manifested that. Oh, I have attracted that. Or any sort of stories or justification that people have. You know, something, let's say someone will slap me or steal from me, and then suddenly a painful story. What did I do in life because of the assumption or idea of justice? No, life just dances. Interpretations or stories or attraction, they all have its place. They do, because obviously, you know, certain thinking habit or a focus of the attention, the habit, that creates the experience. Of course, if I habitually delete everything that is positive and only see the dreadful stuff, and if I habitually keep my body always crawled and breathe from the top of my lungs, yes, that attracts certain situations. But I don't really do it. It's again the set of habits that does it. It's the conditioning that does it. And if I realize that I'm beyond the habits and the conditioning, who knows, those habits may start breaking or not, but there's no one who cares. And the life may move me to do something about certain habits. And I wouldn't say that this is my credit. I would say the life moves that wind or that river or that ocean. See if we have any. Barbara says also, you told me I wasn't in my heart. Best comment ever made. Do you remember? I wasn't in my heart.
Never would I say that. A lot of water flowing under the bridge since then. I've seen a lot of people since then.
Yes.
And what comes out at the time is what comes out at the time.
Yeah, it's also, they say Nisargadatta was saying contradictory things, different things to different people, but really it was always what was relevant in the moment. To say, you're not in your heart would be probably relevant if there is some sort of an identification with the emotional center, because emotional center is also a way to express, it's not the ultimate. But yeah, for people who are particularly attached to their thinking, you may say, well, feel or think of yourself more as the heart. Like you say sometimes, listen from the heart, the core or the essence of your being, which is not located where the physical heart is.
No.
But it kind of feels like there is no within and without. But it kind of feels like a pointer to within. It would be more accurate than the pointer to without. Don't look outside for the answer. But yeah,
the core or the center, center of the spirit.
Yes.
The spiritual center is heart, not
And
the physical heart.
And Rohan says, I love it. Both of you can speak about the past knowing full well that there is no such thing. Haha. Oh. Cats are playing. Yes. Rohan pointed, we can all speak about the past. We can all use the storage of the computer, the memory. And even though we know that in reality there's only this moment, and the whole past, including brain, including memory, including all the files there that you could stimulate with the electrodes, are just projected out, but they are content of this moment. There is no past, but yes, we have total access to all the memories, although vague sometimes, and not personal anymore. The most personal moments in my entire life, most dreadful moments of near-death experience, or moments of the dread of rejection or the heartbreak, or when I revisit those moments now, they're completely redefined. They're fascinating moments of the extreme experiences, extreme emotions, but they're not mine. They don't cause the same. They like somebody else's story. They're treasured. They're precious. But they're not unresolved emotions that you deny or suppress anymore. They welcome. It's incredible. And Caroline, can you speak about addictions, Bobcat?
I can tell you all about addictions.
Yeah, they're habits. And they kind of often sustained, especially when you go into self-medication, when you suffer. That's a source of such a profound self-destructive habit.
Well, totally lost in the self-center or the ego, you can, it's easily to be addicted to a lot of things.
Yeah. Although they are addictions even without it, like, I'm hooked on the hot chocolate for the last couple of months, and I was kind of thinking I don't want to be hooked on anything. Of course, it's sugar-free and the plant milk, so it's not really that bad, but I didn't want to be hooked on anything, and I just kind of Google it to see what the side effects of that are, and they're only good. So
well, when there's no one to be addicted to anything.
No, but the body is still kind of starting the day from a nice little sugar-free hot chocolate. And yeah, Bob is on beetroot, Polish barszcz, the addiction.
not an addiction, it's something that I'm just using as energy, food energy.
But it's yummy.
Hmm?
But it's yummy.
Of course it's yummy, but a lot of other things are like, you're not addicted to everything that's yummy.
No, I know. I know, yeah. Addictions we actually define as something that is detrimental.
Yes,
or
something you're attached to. You think you can't live without it.
That's right, yeah. And who is the you that can't live without it? And at the same time, we have examples of addictions.
Well, I did it when I was on the drinking.
Mm.
I believed I couldn't live without it, but I've lived for 60 years without it.
61.
So the mind was telling me bullshit.
Yes.
Listening to the mind, you know.
Mm.
Don't listen to that.
Yeah.
When I see that it doesn't point the truth.
Speak about addictions. John David, if two are in room together, how many awarenesses are there?
It's
Hi,
one.
John.
Yeah, John, I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah.
It's one without a second. There's not two. Never was.
Mm. Just one awareness appearing as two. Yeah, just showing up in two forms. Actually 4, because we have a couple of cats here too. And if you think of being, every single thing, every object has the being. And who is there to say that they are dead or alive or sentient or insentient? And that's a different Caroline. The background with seemingly a number of persons in it. Yes. And GK, hey, how does karma and evolution fit in? Thanks.
Who's that?
GK.
Karma.
Mm.
Well, karma is cause and effect, basically.
Yes.
Now, if me is the cause, and you see that there's no me, can there be an effect without a cause?
No.
Well, it can't be. So you can be rid of your karma just like that.
Yeah, that's from the personal karma, yes. If you realize that there is no one to who it applies, you just see that yes, everything in the world is uncaused because it has multitude of causes. So
in the belief of the me, and it's me as the cause of my anxiety, my stress, my guilt, my unhappiness, and all the other things, the cause. And they are the effects of the cause, me. Anxiety, stress, guilt. There's no me, nothing to relate to. Relationship is duality, nothing to relate to. It's just the one essence appearing, expressing as everything.
how about evolution?
Evolution, well, that's a natural, spontaneous functioning. You're evolving right now. Every breath you take is a fresh and new breath.
Yeah,
it's a spontaneous activity. You evolved from a sperm and an ovum, and before that the essence of the food eaten by your father and your mother. And the little embryo formed.
But that's in the story about time.
Yeah.
So the human experience the form experience as a form inevitably has the time in it. It's just part of the experience. So yeah, the evolution or the
everything's fresh and new all the time. Nothing static.
Yeah. And still there is an illusion of time, being a form.
Yeah.
It's a space, it's a time space that form requires. And reincarnation, if there is such thing, GK also. Reincarnation.
Or what was born in the first place.
Yes.
You realise that. As tells you in the Rai Gita, there was no creation, no creator,
and
no creature. You and I and everything else are creatures. And they're all seemingly solid and real, but they're all ephemeral. No substance or any independent nature to any of it.
Yeah, so the idea that there is an ego that survives the death is a romantic thought. There may be an energy of memory or anger that can actually get released, but the ego is not the reality.
There's only life, as the Sagara says. There's nobody or no thing that lives a life. Life lives on life. Out of life, more life comes. Keeps coming up.
And that was it for now. Reincarnation or any other versions of immortality dreams, they come from that basic fear of being mortal, of having an expiry date, which is a fear that is so ridiculously conceptual, because you can't even imagine how it is not to be. So why would you be afraid of something that is so beyond imagination? Be afraid of what is going to be in 100 years when this body-mind is not here. Who cares? Like, what is really fearful about non-existence? And can the energy ever get destroyed? It can change form. So when the energy that is fueling this body, just like when the electricity that is fueling the computer, if we take this one to be the computer, and then the life essence is the power. So if that power switches off, if the body expires and the power is off, what happened to the energy? Is it killed? Is it dead? No. Is it destroyed? No. It's still potential. But if the same energy now joins and fuels the tree, is it really reincarnation? No. If I switch off one computer and start on the other, is it reincarnation? That the power, that fuel, it doesn't fuel, but you can tell it, say it this way. It's not really reincarnation, because to incarnate is to turn into meat. So what turns into meat, the pure life essence, turns into that sperm and ovum, and then it grows into a body. And now the body decays, and the bacteria and maggots deteriorate the body, and that body turns into the fertilizer of the soil, or ash, whatever it turns to. So it came into carnation and out of carnation. And now, how it can reincarnate? What do you mean? The ash can... Yeah, it can maybe become a part of the plant. It may, but is it really? That's not what the reincarnation story is about. It is about a solid sort of a second body or subtle body or some imagined body that is running this physical body. And that's not a bad story. We can all agree and believe in it, and it will be reality once it's believed.
It's all spontaneous.
But
no time. How can it happen if it's not in time?
And different versions of that immortality dream is hell and heaven. It's no different. It's not even less sophisticated or more childish. No, it's a sweet little story about sitting on the trees and singing Hosanna and not having or going to hell and being punished. Heaven and hell are in thinking on earth. Once you sleep or once you're unconscious, there's not much heaven and hell going on. And once the body is dead, or any other dreams that, any other stories that are being believed into being, they're nice.
Hell came from some old, I think it was some old English word, mean to be shut off. The sheep were held into a pen or a room. They shut off from everything.
God says, I can't say anything about anything Only now is there what is happening.
Yeah, good.
Beautiful. Yes. Nothing dies, only transforms, Aldo says. Yes. And D, where does meditation, contemplation, in formal sense, fit into the establishing of this re-identification as awareness, presence? It's easy to get intellectually, but also easily forgotten for the most of the day, for those of us very habituated to the idea of separate entity.
Well, you need to remind yourself as often as possible that there's only this present moment.
Yeah, just relax out of the intellectualizing and thinking. And where does the practice, formal practice, fit into it?
Well, you can't say it didn't.
Yeah.
Did help. You can't say it didn't. It put you through that. You went through it, and if it's taken you further on, well, it's done what it was necessary to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little disclaimer with the formal practices. If you are moved to sit in silence and just focus on the silence, or just indiscriminately move the thoughts away of the picture, like say next to each thought, just sitting and relaxing into being, and next, just not really. That seems like something that might be helpful, but the disclaimer is, watch out for any attempt to take credit for it. Like, oh, I'm meditating 20 minutes a day, I'm better than you. Or I'm meditating for 1 hour, so I'm getting better and I'm getting closer to getting it. Or the longer I meditate, the closer I am to realization. Those little ideas that the mind drops are the trap, because there is no I to get anything.
If there's no I, how can there be a meditator?
Yeah.
If there's no meditator, what can you meditate on? So meditation that's what they call the undistracted non-meditation.
Yeah, just whatever you moved to do, just recognize, like Bob often says, give credit where credit is due. If you are moved to sit in quiet, you say, oh, life moves this body to sit in quiet. It's not the I that wants to achieve something in future. The longer I sit in quiet, the more I will get there, because the I never gets anything. The I is a story, the I is a thought. So the I, no matter how long the I imagines to sit on and torture itself, is the absence of I. That is clarity.
And meditation goes on with trying to become one.
Yes.
But if you already are one, what's the point of trying? Just recognise that.
Yeah. And you may be moved to recognize that in silence. The recognition may come as you just relax into your chair or take a special posture, whatever life moves you to do. Recognition is available moment to moment, is as available in meditation as it is outside of meditation. It's just the receptivity, the openness, the heartfelt, I wouldn't call it desire, but the commitment perhaps, that openness that actually makes it shine through. Like they say, God is coming to the quiet mind. So people try to quieten the mind. But the quiet mind, the mind can be as noisy as it is, but what you are is what underlies the mind. That is where the quiet is. That is what you are. So the realization and the contemplation is even possible, is quite often realized in this way, when the mind gets to the peak of its craziness, the peak of the suffering, and that is when something opens up. So it really isn't, there is no prerequisite or rule. There is nothing that I can do for the I to stop being. The consciousness doesn't need any sacrifices or any practices. It is there.
all this talk about mind, but I've never ever found a mind.
Nobody does.
There's
Yeah.
no such thing as mind apart from thought.
Mm.
And if mind was thought, which particular thought are you? You think you are the I thought, but you gladly give that up every night when you go to sleep.
Yes.
So there's no thought there. Have you disappeared?
Nope.
You haven't. You're still breathing, heart's still beating.
Mm. And GK, is there a need for morality and personal responsibility? Thank you.
Yeah. Naturally that will happen.
That's part of the socializing.
Mm.
So the need, if you say a need, then it means there is something that you are ready to implement, and there is no you. So yes, statistically, morality and the benevolence and the willingness to help and serve and love everyone is naturally there, the less you suffer. Because when you are in pain, in struggle, you are confined, you are in the that self-obsession mode, the survival mode, where you really want to get out of there, and you would climb on somebody else's back. And when you are really irritable and angry, you tend to poke everyone else around you. You know, that sort of energy breeds more of the unkindness. But when you are happy, when you are relaxed, when you kind of feel that life is benevolent, life is good, if you believe in, or you call the life God or love, and you are in tune with that sort of vibration of the consciousness, or that level of expression, why would you ever need the morality? You would not want to hurt anyone. You would shout it from the rooftop to bring everyone else to experience the love of being and the joy of being. So the conditioning towards moral behavior, moral means, you know, in one culture that means this, in another culture it means something completely different. It's a set of rules that is adopted during the socialization. But the natural ethics, the natural compassion, the natural benevolence is there when you're happy, when you're relaxed, when you're at peace with life. You have no agenda to harm anyone. The probability that you would do any harm to anyone is much, much less than when you are unhappy, dissatisfied, you hate humanity, you believe that this is all hell and it would be better, any sort of selfish beliefs or relation beliefs.
Yeah, we form a concept about everybody, and everybody forms a concept about us, and we all have a concept about ourselves.
Yes.
Which concept, which is only a mental construct, would be right? When you realise there's no concept right, they're all mental constructs. Who can be superior to you? Who would be inferior to you? And what do you want of the other persons? Yes. So naturally you're going to be the morality there, if you don't want anything from anybody. Yes. But that's why all the wars and everything go on, because we take these concepts to be real. We don't like this and we like that, and we've got a concept about it. Fear, anxiety, stress, guilt, shame, remorse, all these things come up because of the concepts we hold, mental constructs.
And Divya, what does it mean if we all believe in it, it will become a reality, as said about reincarnation? I'm curious about that. See how the whole world is kind of agreed upon. We agree to trust science. So the electricity has been invented. We agreed that it exists. We agreed that the walls are solid, and then they are solid. They all appearance. The whole world is just a mere field of probability, of very fast running, whatever the, even Buddha, before quantum mechanics, knew that the world was illusion. And even physics can give you a equation of how to put your hand through the wall when you have with the probability, of course. So we do agree upon the experienced reality. We agree upon what is ethical or what is moral. We agree that cheating on your husband is immoral. But yeah, in other cultures there may be a different sets of rules. Even we agree on colors, like you look out and you see the tree, and we agree that this one is called tree and the leaves are green. We don't know if other people experience the textures and the colors in the same way as we do. We just agree on it. Maybe they see it different. But yeah, the reality is even the collective beliefs, because it is all vibration. Now, let's say I don't believe that certain medication will help me, but everyone else in the world give it so much of the energy that this particular medication has that capacity or power or energy, because it really is a vibration. So I take it, pain disappears. Ooh, I didn't believe it will help, but it did, because of the collective belief. It's something, it's a model, it's a story, but it's kind of plausible explanation of how the world appears solid and substantial, even though it is not. Yeah, we could all agree, and they were societies that agreed of existence of some sort of entities, or I think kahunas believed in some sort of parental angels or spirits, and everybody had access to it because they existed. They are communities that believe in certain spirits of the plants, for example, the power plants, and they act as if, and they experience realities as if they were real. You could subscribe to it and experience it as well. I know a couple of friends who do actually believe in angels, and they experience their touch. They experience, even in visual field, a little light here hiding. They do, because of the belief, especially when there is a community that believes. Like if you go to Christian community, they believe in trinities, the God that his son was crucified and resurrected, and nobody questions it. That's the belief. That happened. End of story. We don't know. There's no objective possibility to actually verify that. But yeah, collective belief. And I think we're going close to the time, because I can see thank you all. But Rohan says, in only that is a moment before Bob came to Nisargadatta, he had some experience of Swami Nityananda in a subtle realm. However, as you said, Kat, it is still part of the story of the one. I guess nothing is really impossible as far as the story goes. That's right. Nothing's impossible. Yeah. And Aldo? I tell people I'm perfect and I was never born, and people think I'm a nutter. Yeah, it's probably more socially acceptable if you tell them, because if you say I'm perfect, well, first of all, I'm narcissistic psychopath and whatever else. But if what I am is not the body, of course the body is not perfect. Of course the mind, the thinking, the behavior is not perfect. But the essence is pure perfection. And the essence what I am, and the essence of what you are, the essence what the tree, the cat, and everything else is like this electricity that fuels the toaster and the computer and the Tesla car. But yeah, they would think you're a nutter. Yeah, you gotta watch out. The best way to communicate with people is to actually hear them and see what they understand by themselves and strengthen it, rather than just impart. And Caroline, there is only awareness here. Reincarnation is another concept, story. That's right. Yeah, story of the time. Where is the reincarnation if there is no future? And Goz, when you let go of the object that is making you suffer and investigate suffering, you find it is love for self. Beautiful. Yeah, that's so true. Yes. Yeah. Any motivation, any action, any behavior comes from love for the self. Although the self may be misguided, the interpretation of what the self is may be very selfish, very little, very limited. But any action, including the suicide bombers killing themselves, including the suicide, yes. Caroline, Aldo, maybe stick with the I'm perfect or perfect love. Yeah, or just, make it light. Life moves you too. And GK, thank you very much for your precise and loving answers. Thank you. Michelle, there may be more arising in emptiness that most of us experience. Yeah, that's a nice idea. Yeah, seems like that emptiness keeps dancing and creating more forms. Like everything is a form in emptiness. The forms of the solid material forms and the forms of like more subtle, like thought or feeling or memory, constant in so many versions. And now thank you messages, and thank you from Tanya for every expression of one essence here, such beauty and clarity expressing, lots of gratitude and love. And thank you from Sally. Amarnath, no more, only emptiness with fullness paradox. Yes. And Arthur, and now we've got just thank you messages. So I think that's the time to say thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you for contributing and for putting it in words so beautifully and clearly, and for good questions.
Good to know that there's only that and you are that.
Yes, and if doubts come, that keep looking at them. They're nothing more than thought, and it's only the thought. It's only one thought away. You're yawning.
Yeah.
Okay, lunchtime. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful Sunday, and
yes,
love you all.
Love you all.